Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms, my name's Stuart and welcome to another review video. And guess what? Yes, it's more Epic Battles, the Waterloo campaign from Warlord Games, and this time the Prussian Infantry Brigade. And again, Warlord Games have very kindly sent me some review stock. By the looks of things with this as well, this will be early review stock because it's in grey plastic, whereas the proper production frames are going to be in black for the Prussians. So anyway, let's have a little look at the website and see what's in the box.
And here we are with the Prussian Infantry Brigade entry on the Warlord Games' store. So it's £26.50, obviously that's in pounds sterling. That's the official RRP. Again, as I mentioned in previous videos, I'm sure you'll be able to get cheaper at your local stores or your favourite independent online retailer. 10, 15, maybe even 20% off if you want to go that way. So let's have a little look. So there's your box art, as with the cavalry in the previous video. I don't have the boxes. I've been sent sort of early access sprues, so to speak. I'm not sure if the boxes are even printed yet. So this is a sort of a good way of using the website to show you what the box is like and giving you a bit more of an idea of the products as a whole rather than just the sprue. And it's also a really fun chance to have a look at the studio paint schemes, which I like to do as well, and give you all a bit of context rather than just some plastic on the screen. And very nicely painted they are. So the difference with this, as you'll already see, is that the Jaegers are in line, a bit like the British riflemen were on the British sprue, which is quite cool. But I don't want to dwell on that too much until we talk about the actual sprue themselves. But we'll just have a little flick through the other images. Obviously, them from behind, the flag sheet, which is standard, and there's your picture of the sprue. So, and the paint again, which I mentioned in the cavalry, that's a suggestion, I believe, of the paint you might want to pick up and use. It's not what you get in the set, but interesting the way they've just sort of displayed it there. But quite clearly in the actual description, which we'll look at now, it doesn't list paint. This plastic set provides enough models to field a complete brigade of 3 Prussian line or light infantry regiments of 80 men, 3 bases of Jaegers, that's in rank, a 3-gun foot artillery, 12-pounder battery, and 3 mounted brigade commanders. So very much like the makeup of the British in terms of content, in terms of numbers of miniatures. So no skirmishing troops, light troops in line, Jaegers in line. Yeah, let's go and have a look at the proper frame anyway. It's far more interesting than me rabbling on.
And here we are zoomed in at the frame, and let's start with the officer in the top corner here. So this is the back of him, as we so to speak. And again, he's very comparable to the French and British versions of the same thing in terms of what you get in terms of pose, etc, etc. Does seem to be quite a bit of detail on him here. So at the front he's got his buttons. If anything, the buttons look a little bit larger in scale, maybe make it slightly easier to paint. But he looks pretty cool. As you got the fairly sort of typical quite chunky horses. I don't know what's going on with his front leg there. It looks like he's going over on his foot slightly. Slightly strange pose, but all in all, pretty much what we've seen from the others, and I don't dislike it at all. And as always, these miniatures get me, as I love their faces. I think they really makes the miniatures stand out to me. And then let's have a look at the gun. So this is a 12-pounder gun, so slightly larger barrel and gun here. Now I'm assuming, like the others, you'll be able to swap that over with the gun that's on the cavalry sprue, which would mean that you can have a smaller cannon with the infantry. Now someone's going to pipe up and tell me now that the Prussians infantry artillery, foot artillery, didn't have any 6-pounder guns or something like that, which is fair enough. But if they did, Prussian experts out there, James, let me know. But if they do, you could swap them over, I'm sure. It's nice to see a big 12-pounder gun there. And then obviously the foot artillery here have slightly different uniforms to the horse artillery, which is the same with other nations as well. They seem to have shorter jackets and things, but overall pretty good. Quite static. These guys here look like they're standing to attention rather than about to fire a gun, so it looks like they're not currently firing. Looks like they're at rest waiting for orders to commence firing, which is cool. but it's different to some of the more action poses of some of the others, but it gives you a little bit of variety. I think some people may like that, some people may not. Again, they're quite closely sculpted. I'm guessing this guy here, with a sharp blade, you could easily cut him away so he's in a slightly different position, so you can move him into the firing position. But as I said, the others all look like they're kind of standing at the ready or something, but very cool anyway. So let's move on to the infantry themselves, and again, similar to the offerings from French and British line infantry, in that they're all in a fairly close knit strip on line, which is part of the kind of the theme of the release, really, and I like it. They seem to be marching. They've got a few slight variations in poses there. Nothing too crazy. There doesn't seem to be a lot of facial hair or anything going on it. And again, that might be synonymous with the army and the way it worked. Let's flick over and look at the backs. Quite a lot going on there, different accoutrements, but good for painters. Good detail there. So you've got your blanket roll and your ammunition boxes and your pack, etc. I quite like the look of those. As a painter, the details are quite well defined. Sometimes too much detail, if it's fine and small, can be a nightmare. But they look fairly well defined, so it'd be fairly easy to pick them out. I just hope that they would be not things that are of a similar colour, because that can be a pain sometimes. But I think they're all different. I think you'd have obviously the blue jackets, maybe a grey for your blanket roll, and a brown leather pack, and then white in this area there. So I think you'll end up with a few areas of detail that, as a painter, you can make them stand out, and add detail to the miniatures, which is good when you've got a lot of blue, black and grey making up these uniform colours. You want some colours to pop and make it stand out a little bit. Let's flick it over and look at some of the others. So this is the other end of the sprue. We'll miss the Jaegers off for a moment, and all very much more of the same. And I'm sure there are slight variations. I don't know how many different variations in strip are there. Might be 2 or 3, maybe even 4. I'm not going to go and work that out for you now. I'll leave you to do that yourselves and enjoy your own miniatures. But thought we'd talk a little bit about the command strip. So as usual, one strip on each frame. It's a command strip where you have an officer and a standard bearer or 2 with the British and a drummer, and it's the same here. So your drummer's on the end, there's your standard, and there's your officer, and they look pretty cool, to be honest with you. Flick over on the back and have a little look. Very much the same. Even the officer's got a pack here, which I don't remember. The British definitely don't, and the French don't either. So that's something different. It's just different army regulations and things. Very, very cool. I even like the bayonet sheath there is towards the back of their uniforms rather than down the sides, which is you get on a lot of the other troops. So again, that's something else detail-wise that you'd need to pick out or paint. Now on to the final part, which is the Jaegers. So with the original British infantry sprue, you had riflemen in line, and the skirmishing versions were available later on the Highlander sprue. And I suppose it's a similar thing here, whereas the skirmishing Jaegers are available on your Landwehr and on your cavalry sprues, and you have Jaegers in line and in just 2 strips of them, so only 1 base per frame, but it's obviously 3 bases per box, are available here. And like the British Rifleman, there are 2 slightly different sculpts for the strips, not identical, and it seems to be the officer at the end here that's slightly different. So a guy with his sword in the air, and a guy with his sword drawn in close to his side a little bit more. And you can obviously switch which one you have as the front and which one has as the back rank, so maybe you can make it look like different officers or commanders or things like that. He's the more obvious one, I suppose, in the middle. If you have a regiment of 3, having in the middle with his sword in the air, which I think way most people will go, but you do have that option for a bit more variety, and they look pretty good. If anything, the details are a little bit crisper on those in a strip, I believe, than they are in their skirmishing versions. Maybe just in the face. It might just be the grey plastic helps show them up. I haven't actually painted any of them yet, but they seem to be really nailed this designing models in a strip. It looks absolutely fantastic. It takes away the need for the kind of the 3D element around the side, I suppose, but I think they look pretty cool. So there we are, that's the last of the reviews of the Prussian release, and potentially the last of everything really, at least of all the plastic things that Warlord Games have announced. There has been talk early on of some generals and things like that, and maybe we'll see some other little extras like we did for the epic American Civil War range, but as yet those things haven't been announced at the time of recording, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. Now I will be getting the full box, and I'll do a review of the full box as well, which will obviously there will be some repetition because I've already seen the sprues, but I will review the full box when it arrives. Overall, these are great. They fit right in with the rest of the ranges, and I say that a lot, but that's the truth. It's just Prussian versions of what you got with the British and what you got with the French. Now each people have their own individual kind of areas of expertise, and they may pick up on more things than others, but for me, as a lover of history but not someone that's so caught up in every single minute detail, and there's nothing wrong with the people that are, these are absolutely fine and do the job that I need to get armies on the table in a mass. and the pricing of that to back it up as well is fantastic. And I'd much rather build armies in this scale in strips like this in plastic than I would in metal. It just, for me, the overall look is fantastic, and maybe as a painter, the look for me overall from the tabletop is more important than the ability to break the models down to smaller bases or use different rule sets and things like that. So we all make our own decisions on these. I'm a big fan of these ranges, and these sort of right up there with everything else. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you've only just found the channel because of this, and look at all the other epic battles content on there if you like it. If you don't like it, there is a few other things as well. I do painting tutorials as well, and there will be painting tutorials for the Prussians coming soon, so keep an eye out for those. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and take care.